We got Squall, who has extended his capability into a fire character, rather than just being single ice, which is cool. It's fine. If you look at Squall's Legend Dive, you see that this is okay. Zell M2, 35% chance to dual cast Spellblade abilities. LM1, Spellblade abilities deal 15% more damage. He did not, at this point, have the ability to start the battle with that attach fire, but he does gain it eventually. Legend Spheres. Spellblade damage plus 9%. He was never truly locked to ice with his base bonuses. So, him being a fire character really is just fine. And what do we have? Squall's USB3, which looks like a... chase? This is a weird USB. It's like a combination of Squall's USB2 and Oron's USB2. Okay, so Squall's USB3 just gives him Endfire and the EX Lionheart status, which casts Renzokuken Fire Fang, which is a chase after using a Spellblade ability. That's simple. Just a 5-hit chase. The second part is just a stacking crit chance and cast speed buff. He starts at 0, so you don't have any critical chance or cast speed on the first action. But every time you use a Spellblade ability, you'll move up. Critical chance 30% times 2. So after 3 abilities, you'll stay at Lionheart 3 with a 75% crit chance and cast speed times 3. This is pretty good. I really like Oron's USB2, and this is kind of a side grade to that. And in Squall's hands, clearly a really good thing. I have Fire Sword too. Just reminded me that I got yet another one in this festival. Yeah. Vivi's not good enough already. Let's give him an arcane. So instead of dealing 150,000 damage a turn, Vivi can now deal 300,000 once. Pretty useful. Also doesn't cost any abilities, which is his USB vacuums and consumes. And it's a fire robe, which is actually pretty awesome. Zell's Arcane. 3 single target. Overflow. Pretty nice. Pretty nice in Zell. Zell is an under... I don't know what I say, underrated or underappreciated. He just... his USB isn't as common, because it's kind of gotten buried under all the ice stuff that's happened on Final Fantasy VIII banners. But Zell's USB is still really good. It's instantaneous. And extremely powerful. And his arcane helps out his USB. And, oh, wouldn't you know, one of the added relics that wasn't on the Japanese banner is Zell's USB. So them two being on this banner are actually pretty cool. Both are Fire Fist weapons. Next up, Vincent's USB2. What do we got? Instant. I love the instant. 10 single target, hybrid fire. And fire. Quick cast 1. Quick cast 1. paying the price with that effect because it's instantaneous, huh? And then overflow capability. But, oh yeah, well, another highlight of Vincent's USB2 is its hybrid. Vincent is, I mean, being a hybrid character is just cool. Which is kind of nice. It's to kind of differentiate him from the gigantic pack of fire characters. Overflow capability with the Brave is cool. It's supposed to be instant. Well, that's a hell of a lot better. I must have taken this from the wiki. Yeah. Instant cast 1 says in Lears. So, better. Yeah, oh yeah, much better. There's it doesn't seem like much. There's a pretty big difference between quick cast and instant cast. It reminds me of Sabin's USB. That charge of instant cast after casting is really good. Hey, it's a pretty decent USB. Nothing special here. Obviously, Squall's USB3 is a lot stronger, but the Brave mode is useful for the Ice Magicite. And here's the problem: is both Ice Magicites are the damage reduction type, so breaking their Ice Rage is immediately when it pops up is pretty important in both cases. So the ability to do that with a Brave mode is nice. I probably undervalued Terra's USB2 in the past because I didn't understand how bad the Ice Magicite were when it came to damage reduction. Sorry, Terra. Gilgamesh chain, obviously, fire chain. Gilgamesh is not one of the best fire or chain holders because he doesn't have a whole lot of capability. He's just a damage dealer. Physical only. He can dispel with Banishing Strike. That's about it. Samurai are good, but he's not one of the better cross-chain holders, unfortunately. But still, it's a chain. It's good. Vivi Glint. Oh, God. Endfire stacking on Vivi? My goodness. Chainless? You could Endfire stack Vivi into capping. You wouldn't even have to break the rage mode on Mana Core. You just Endfire stack him and use his USB and just... What? Rage mode? What damage reduction rage mode? Get out of here. But honestly, Vivi does so much damage outside of situations like that that the Endfire stacking is actually completely unnecessary on him. But I imagine there will be cases where it's good. In the future, maybe? Against Odin? Yeah, probably really good against Odin. Zell's Glint, instant 6 warrior mode, huh? I like it. It's instant 6 attacks. And the first cast, which is probably the only one you want to cast, because it's an increase from 0 to 50 instead of 50 to 25, is a 25% damage boost. And not only that, but it's kind of necessary. And what's probably really nice about this is with his USB. He uses his chase, which is really good, but only after using critically hitting. So if you don't have his LMR1, or any way to grant crit chance to Zell, he actually becomes a pretty pedestrian character because he loses his chase. Unless you get lucky enough to crit with him with just like precise strikes or his natural crit rate. Zell, yeah, right. Zell cares about crits a lot because his chase is really good. Anyway, I like it. I like it on Zell in particular. Vincent's glint is just... Vincent's already a really powerful character. This is gross on Vincent. How many holders of Generation 2 chains have an end-fire stacking instance, just an end element stacking glint? I want to know. There's a lot of these characters. I don't know if they've gotten glints recently in Japan. Like Cloud of Darkness, Golbez. Locke. Alphino. Oh, the Locke is Generation 1. Yeah, anyway. It is rare. And really powerful. Because in a 30-second fight, unless you're getting it outside in trusts, it can be really hard for a character to use any other soul breaks until like 25 seconds in the fight. Besides one chain to the beginning for 15 seconds and a second chain for the second half of the fight. With a glint, that changes. A glint is a whole lot easier to cast. So I really, really like that on him. Squall USB3 is a really easy for me to describe. It is an exact clone of his BSB2. Except anything that said ice on it, it now says fire. Which, if you haven't heard, is actually pretty good. Thank you, Solus. That's what turned it. That turned the tides. I was pretty grim until that point. Zell LMR2, dual cast with monk abilities. Well, it's obviously a good thing to have on characters. Vivi LMR2 start battle with Empire. You know, it's not that good. Unless you don't have his USB. And that's why it's okay being on this banner. Because Vivi with his LMR 2, start battle then fire, and his glint and his arcane, still a ridiculously powerful character. Even if you don't have his busted USB, he is still awesome with just these three things. Or just two of them. Because his LM2 is just as powerful as it is. The 50% chance to dual cast is awesome. So while if I'm running USB Vivi, I don't care for his LMR too much. Because it doesn't seem all that useful. Well, okay, I'm going to walk this back a little bit. I apologize. I do like Vivi's LMR2, even with USB Vivi. Why? Let's take Maria, for example. Maria is very similar, but Maria doesn't generally do as much damage as Vivi does after she uses her USB. So she gains a lot of benefit to using stuff like her LM1, which increases her earth damage. Vivi's a little different. Vivi caps in many situations pretty easily. So using something like his LM1 to increase his fire damage by 10% isn't going to do anything after you cast his USB anyway. So why not start him off the battle with End Fire and increase the damage he does for the first couple turns of the fight? Where someone like Maria's like, no. Give me that all fight 10%. Yeah. Well, that's I said that first. Like, Vivi with the stuff on this banner is still a really good Vivi. He doesn't need USB. But I was strictly speaking of USB Vivi and SLMR2. And it kind of rolled around in the soup a little bit, and that actually seems like a pretty decent idea because he would rather help out his early damage because his late damage is already insane. And capping. So, you know, using his LM1 would... It's not really doing anything anyway. Okay, so there's that. And Vincent LMR are, you know, 25% chance to dual cast fire abilities. Obviously a really good thing on him. And what else do we have on the banner? Ooh! Gilgamesh's LMR. 25% chance to dual cast Samurai. Pretty good. Pretty good. Is that it? Yeah, looks like it. The banner was it was untouched. It just added Gilgamesh Chain and Zell USB and Gilgamesh's LMR. It was already a pretty good fire banner. Now it is a much better fire banner. So, if you're struggling to get clears on Sildra and Manicore and want to continue around the circle, you could do a lot worse than pulling on a strict, powerful fire banner. This banner is lit. Should time you out for that. Did I say Sildra and Manicore? Mateus and Manicore. Sorry. But again, same warning I offered on the first banner. If you do have clears of those two Magicite, just think long and hard about pulling on this banner, because fire in particular is in a pretty good spot with a double awakening in the next festival. Should try Sildra. Did I get anything that changes my Sildra team? Nope. I don't really like my ice team at all. I guess I could try. Not tonight. I do have Manicore. I can break the Savage once. Oh no, more than once. Because I have Snow's Chain. Well, maybe that's not even good enough, because Sildra's gonna buffer resistance so high. Okay, moving on. That is the banner. So everyone think. Second best? Yeah. It is a very good fire banner. Timely. It's a good thing that this isn't a trap banner. It's a frustration banner, but not a frustration trap. With Mateus and Manicore. Mostly Mateus. Well, not really. Yeah, Vincent's hybrid. And there's a lot of Vincent stuff here. All of it's good. So for Banner 3, basically, if you have stuff like Alara USB, Cecil USB 1 ASB, and Celeste USB, it's pretty great. No. It's better. Pretty great is a higher superlative than I would assign to it. A lot of Vincent, but no chains, true. Vincent has too many good things. Even has a trance mode LM2. What a hacker. I remember Vincent used to be just garbage. He used to have like the worst stats in the game. He used to be easier to kill than Eiko. Yeah. Yeah, Ricky, you saw my Manicore kill. Terra may have been high quick-assing the entire fight with Lara, but when you are trying to break that Savage mode and you need it to break immediately after it triggers, I want near instant actions for the entire fight. Does Vincent have a fire element gun? His BSB2 does not exist on this banner. There are 3 in the game, Solus just mentioned Mustadio's USB, Irvin's USB, Irvin's BSB2, and no, Vincent's USB2 isn't. I was thinking Irvin's BSB2. There's those 3. So no, Vincent doesn't have one native.